29-year-old Tasmanian boat rider is behind bars and is accused of killing 62-year-old Loletta Young. At around 7:10 a.m. on the 27th of August, the authorities were called to Nashville Avenue and 42nd Street in Orlando, Florida on reports of a woman down. When officers arrived, they found Loletta suffering from gunshot wounds outside her home in a person's front yard. She was transported to a local hospital, where she died a short time later. It's reported that Tasman got into some kind of argument with Loletta at a nearby 7-Eleven store, about a quarter of a mile away. Loletta then left the store and ran up to a man's home and asked if she could use his phone. A neighbour handed Loletta a cell phone, turned around, heard 2 gunshots and she was dead. Tasman wore a black ski mask and then followed Loletta. He shot her outside the home from a nearby tree line, and he then fled the scene on foot. The authorities were able to trace Tasman's movements using surveillance footage and found a ski mask nearby that contained DNA that matched Tasman. On the 25th of October, officers arrested Tasman and charged him with Loletta's murder, and he's held at the Orange County Jail. Deputies said that Tasman was on federal probation for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon at the time of the shooting. On the 24th of October 2022, 40-year-old Eric Christopher Humphreys was sentenced to 17 years to life in prison after fatally stabbing his 25-year-old girlfriend Amber Smith in 2020 in front of their children. The attack occurred in the early morning hours of the 1st of November 2020, when authorities responded to a home at 89 North Smithfield Road at Dayton, Ohio, on a report of a stabbing. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Amber suffering from stab wounds. She was transported to a local hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Several people were inside the home at the time of the stabbing, including the couple's 2 children aged 1 and 3. Upon further investigation, the authorities discovered that Eric became upset after his girlfriend requested that he buy some milk for their children. He then retrieved a knife from the kitchen and stabbed her multiple times. After fatally stabbing her, Eric then threw the knife onto the front lawn of the home. It was recovered by the authorities and Eric was arrested. 38-year-old Justin Fields is behind bars after being accused of fatally stabbing his 52-year-old live-in girlfriend Tammy Bailey and dismembering her body. Just after 5:30 p.m. on the 22nd of October, a neighbour called 911 to request a welfare check at her home at 102 Bailey Drive in Springville, Alabama. When officers arrived at the premises, they met with Justin at the door, who allegedly confessed on body cam to doing something really bad, and he said he knew he'll be arrested and that the evidence was inside the house. He allegedly admitted to stabbing Tammy after he'd been drinking. Blount County Sheriff Mark Moon said that when deputies entered the home, they found Tammy's dismembered remains in her bedroom. She'd been beheaded, and one of her lower limbs was almost completely cut off, with it just barely hanging on. He said they believe that the very first blow, which was straight through the chest through the heart, which they believe was a lethal blow, Mark said. The scene was described as so bad that there was no way they could tell how many stab wounds there were, but they said it was in excess of 100. Justin told the investigators that on the 21st of October, he spent the day celebrating his birthday and returned home later that night. They had each had their own separate bedrooms, but he went to Tammy's room and wanted to engage in sex with her, but she turned him down. He said he became frustrated and stabbed her in the chest and then blacked out. He said that when he woke up in the morning, he thought he was having a bad dream, but for some unknown reason he went back inside her room and stabbed her some more. Justin told detectives that he spoke to his father over the phone and told him that he did something horrible. The father then called the victim's sister, who's also Tammy's neighbour. The sister then tried to enter the home, but Justin held her back and refused to let her go inside, telling her he had done something horrible and that she didn't need to go in there. Justin was arrested and charged with murder and abuse of a corpse. He's held at the Blount County Jail, where he's held without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 35-year-old Lloyd Love, who worked as a security guard, was arrested on suspicion of murder after he allegedly shot his former boss, 52-year-old Marvin Johnson, due to a paycheck typo. At around 7 p.m. on the 20th of October, officers received a call about a trespass reporting on the 16800 block of East Center Tech Parkway in Aurora, Colorado, but when they arrived, the call was upgraded to a shooting. The authorities said there was a dispute between an employer and a former employee, which left the employer dead. More police officers arrived at the property and identified Lloyd as a suspect, but he had reportedly fled the scene. A SWAT team and Denver police helicopter located a vehicle, which they confirmed Lloyd was a passenger, and performed a traffic stop, and Lloyd was arrested without incident. The authorities identified the victim as 52-year-old Marvin Johnson. Lloyd received a paycheck from American Eagle Protection, but was unable to cash it because it was made out to Lloyd K. Love when his middle initial reportedly started with a C. He called Patricia Johnson, who co-owns the security company, and told her he needed a new check. He then went to the aerospace company Raytheon on Center Parkway because Patricia was working security there. She allegedly told him she needed his old paycheck in order to issue him a new one, but he said he had already ripped it up. Marvin, Patricia's husband and co-owner of American Eagle Protection, drove to the area to sort out the situation. He reportedly told Patricia to write Lloyd a new check anyway. Lloyd then allegedly shot him in the face and fled the scene. Lloyd then called his girlfriend and asked her to pick him up, when he got in a car and allegedly said that he did something stupid. Lloyd's girlfriend told investigators that he had previously been diagnosed as bipolar and schizophrenic, and on the day of the shooting, he had allegedly been hearing voices, believing that people were in his head, knowing what he was doing and controlling him. Lloyd later told a police detective he had too many things going on in his life and too much pressure. He said he deals with voices and instead he's fed up. Lloyd had only worked for the security company for about 4 days and was not allowed to have a gun because he's a convicted felon. Lloyd is charged with murder and is held at the Arapahoe County Jail without bond.